don't know. I don't know. I'm looking, yeah.
Wow. Marc Clarke, that's classic. I love it.
And welcome to the Marc Clarke Show. We are live and in person in Baltimore at the EMAGE Center. This is the creator, the CEO, the brother that made it all possible. Rashid Aziz joins us. What's up, my friend? How are you, my friend?
I'm okay.
Talk to us, Bootsy. Can you talk?
Yes, I can. Hello, gentlemen. It's good to see you guys' faces. Good to see you guys' voices.
And how do we sound, Bootsy? We sound okay?
You sound Rashid sounds amazing. You sound normal.
I sound okay. See, okay. Everybody got jokes. All right, man. So as you can see behind us, Bootsy, this is a This is a plant in the background, North Avenue in Baltimore. Some call it a food desert. Some call it a job desert. Some call it an opportunity desert. Rashid has created a great place that not only has food, but also has manufacturing, has opportunity, and this is just the beginning. And so, again, my brother, we salute you for doing that. We talk about it, Bootsy. Now we talk about it.
Yes, we do frequently.
But you know, Bootsy, I was just first of all, I'm talking his ear off. I know he's like, damn, Marc Clarke can talk a lot. I'm excited. Okay. So I was telling him, I was talking to some great person the other day, and I couldn't remember who the great person was, who was saying that this person I was talking to, and I couldn't remember, had a school, he had a facility where he was teaching young people. And he was telling me sometimes those at the top don't understand that the goal was to get these kids to college, to create an opportunity for a pipeline so they can go to college. It wasn't just to give them something to do, right? Because they live in the hood. And I couldn't remember who the great person was because
sound familiar.
Rashid was saying the same thing as from a standpoint. I was asking about what was the goal. I mean, of course, you got the delicious sorbet, you manufacture food, there's this and that, but what's the ultimate goal? And he was saying, we were talking about leadership, he said sometimes leadership doesn't understand the ultimate goal. I couldn't think of the great person I was thinking about. Man. Then it came to me, it was you.
Hell, man, as I just finished 2 meetings discussing this same topic early this morning, and it's not even 11 o'clock. So great minds think alike on this podcast this morning.
And so, first of all, I wanted to, Rashid, you share your story. I mean, and Rashid's not from Baltimore, but what he's done, in addition to coming onto North Avenue, which many who don't know or do know of, watch from another place, has many challenges as an area, as far as the community is concerned, to come into an area and build a beautiful new facility. Build a beautiful new facility. Wow. And I'm talking about with all the trappings, not like it's kind of good, it's okay. No, a beautiful facility that will be beautiful in any neighborhood, number one. Then you're offering healthy food alternatives that are delicious.
Wow.
Okay? That's one. Then you're offering retail, which is another one. And then lastly, you're offering manufacturing, making clothes right here. And then one more. Then the connections. You have a relationship with Under Armour. You have a relationship with the Baltimore Orioles, and you're selling the product. And so you come to town and you basically kick the bucket over, man. So first of all, tell us your background and what brought you to Baltimore.
Opportunity brought me to Baltimore. A need to be a part of the resurrection of the inner city is what brought me to Baltimore. I'm from Florida. My name is Rashid Aziz. I'm from the oldest Black incorporated town in America, Eatonville, Florida, home of Zora Neale Hurston.
Wow.
Established in 1887. And so, the spirit of that community and understanding, even during Jim Crow and prior, to not allow themselves to be burned down and turned out, to be self-governed. That's the spirit that I come from. And leaving that environment, to try to bring solutions for crime and poverty is what brought me to Baltimore. Initially supposed to be DC, and I was just turned off of 495 at the last minute and decided to come to Baltimore to check it out for the weekend. And I never left.
Hold on.
Wow. And so-
Is that really how it happened?
No, that's exactly how it happened.
These are facts.
Wow.
Yeah,
What shocked you about that, Bootsy?
You know that he let the Spirit move him and guide him in that direction.
Well, I was talking to a gentleman, a good brother of mine, named Abdul Malik, and he was telling me about the great community work that was going on over in Gwen Oak community, a group of good Muslims working together, trying to make the community better.
Yeah.
And I was intrigued and wanted to be a part of that environment and atmosphere, and came to the city and just totally different than Florida. As you know, palm trees, manicure lawns, and then you go to the opposite extreme.
Man.
You know, where you have actually trees growing through houses was something I wasn't accustomed to.
Yeah, tree house is different. That's a different kind of tree house.
A different tree house.
But you know what I like about Rashid? Rashid comes from, first of all, you come from an area, come from a place that has a history that influenced, obviously, you. So your parents, your background, your influence. Number two, you went to college.
Yes.
So you not only came hoping to do better or helping to create opportunities, but you came armed with some skill sets and with ideas and actually vision.
Yes, and industry.
And industry. I love it.
We brought industry in our 16 by 20 trailer that was following our vehicle.
I love it. What did you say? I loved also what you said. You just hit off something, and I'm sure, again, it comes from our past was, what did you say? It won't be burned out?
Yes, sir. We weren't going to allow our community to be burned out or turned out.
Come on now. Not burned out or turned out. Bootsy, write that down. That's a T-shirt dropping next month.
Man.
Wait a minute, I'm talking to the wrong person. Rashid, write that down. We need to go ahead.
I got you.
Yeah, because you already did manufacture it.
Didn't you say?
I said, because you're already in the place where you can manufacture it.
Exactly. Matter of fact, we're going to do it after the show.
Yeah, just turn around and do it, man.
Not burned out and turned out. And It's so interesting because I know that came from probably the 30s. You know what I mean? And it's just interesting that kind of, but see, that's your backbone though, because let me tell you something. Now, coming to Baltimore, North Avenue, and setting up shop, you can't be no punk. So now the fact that you're a big brother, what kind of gave you that swagger to know it? I mean, you're a Muslim brother, you know what I'm saying? And, nobody, the hood don't really be messing with the Muslim brothers, actually. So that's
a great assessment, Mark. But
what gave you the confidence? Some people be scared, okay? Some people be scared. How you roll in and be like, I'm good. I mean, I'm from Florida and I don't necessarily know everything.
Well, it's because West North Avenue, really, that's really where we painted our flag. It's historic, but it's really any city USA that's in urban America.
Amen.
Poverty, crime, but then at the other extreme, you have people that are trying to do positive things. The oldest Black community, Muslim community in Maryland exists right there 2 blocks from Penn North.
Right.
Where you have a school that hundreds of people have been educated and have been developed and cultivated right down the street. So you have those extremes that exist, and not just in Baltimore, but in a lot of communities. I
love what you said. You said any city USA. That is so, my goodness. And that's why when the powers that be, when you look at the news and they tear down Chicago, they tear down Philadelphia, they tear down Detroit, they tear down, it's the same, like you say, it's the same. It's basically when they tearing Detroit down, they tearing Baltimore down. When they tearing inner city DC, they tearing, because what they do is it's like they do a hit job. The CIAA was in town a couple weeks ago, and so many people who hadn't been to Baltimore were blown away because if you just look at television,
The Wire,
you think The Wire, right?
Yeah.
But you got that Inner Harbor is one of the most beautiful inner harbors in the world. I know because when we went to damn South Africa, they duplicated that Inner Harbor in South Africa. It's duplicated in Australia. And so it's like, but you don't know that. It's like Detroit. Like, when you talk, man, it's funny. You ask Black folks about Detroit, you ask the average person who's never been to Detroit about Detroit, you just think crime, right?
Yeah.
But my mother was in Detroit. I was born in Detroit, where you have this thriving middle class that came from Mississippi, that came from Georgia, that came from the South to work and get those good jobs. So my visions of Detroit were, I remember going to my mom's friends' homes that had these beautiful stone and brick and cool homes, who not only worked at the plant, they had a barbershop in their basement. I mean, but a whole barbershop, like for real, like barbershop with the tiles and everything. That's my memory of Detroit, you know? Mm-hmm. And so you bring that here to Baltimore. And then the part two of it, Rashid, not only did you do it, but you also did a great job of connecting to these establishments with a lot of time in DC, in Detroit. Most Black people have a hard time getting their foot in the door. You not only got your foot in the door, you killed it. And you told us the story about how your meeting with the Orioles went. And I think share with us, man, that getting into those stories, because you came in with creativity, you came with concept, but how did you, number one, know that you could do that, and then how did you know how to do it?
Part of that goes back to what you mentioned about education. The first university that I went to was Alabama State in Montgomery. So being in that environment, being in an HBCU, all of that tradition of the civil rights movement in Montgomery, what I realized was at the time that I was there in the early 90s, it still felt like the 60s. Because industry, understanding the impact of economic development is really what changed my mindset in being in that environment, and saying that we had the right concept when it came during the civil rights movement, but understanding the impact of developing industry in our liberation was a part that was left off.
Hold on, let me give it a little bit of this. No, go ahead, brother. Yes, yeah. The industry. I always say we're outside the window, and they say, "What do they want?" They say they want equality. They're like, "Oh, thank God, yeah, fine, equality, great." I thought they were going to ask about industry and economics. Exactly. They just want equality. We can sell, equality is schmality, right? Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's very vague. You know what I mean? So we want the bag. I guess that's what the young people say now, right? So the bag is, we want to manufacture the bag.
And let me hop in one more time. So the interesting thing that even happens today is we then have an infight about it, right? You had E.B. Du Bois, you have Booker T. Washington, right? And so the sad part was, even to the day, instead of us working together, and they use that against us, right? E.B. Du Bois is like, give me the bucket, give us the jobs and we'll work out the other stuff later on. E.B. Du Bois is like, no, from a standpoint of, from intellectual, where we are intellectually and opportunities to thrive there. And so instead of us kind of being able to, but we understand that they did it on purpose, though. That's what they did that in slavery. They started that breakup in slavery with the field Negro and the house Negro. So even today, it's hard to have real conversations. But the beauty of industry, though, is industry is not a conversation. Industry is what we just said. That shirt idea we just had, we can go make it right now and go sell it right now. It's not a concept that we talked about at the barbershop for 4 hours and nothing happened.
Exactly. It's the great equalizer.
The great equalizer.
We're in a capitalist economy, in an environment, and capital reigns. And so marching can't do what economic development solutions does. So as far as what you mentioned earlier, we created and built, with a lot of support, a 10,000 square foot economic development center called the EMAGE Center. And that EMAGE is an acronym for Entrepreneurs Making and Growing Enterprises. Wow. So we wanted to do a lot of things with that concept. And we had that concept when we moved here to the city. We wanted to, one, show and change the mindset, the viewpoint, the aesthetics of what Black men are in this country, and our productivity and our value, by creating an EMAGE Center and focusing on solutions in dealing with crime and poverty and economic development as an alternative to building sustainable community. In order to do that, we had to build industry. That's the only thing that can be respected. And quite honestly, because we're in a lane, not many wanted to follow that particular path. It was easy to develop the relationships and the connections in the corporate sector. We didn't have any competition, unfortunately.
See, and oh my goodness. And you know, we talk about that, Bootsy, from hip hop to whatever, competition, you know, I'm nice with it. I did this, I did that.
Right.
He just said it. Yeah, but how many of you are manufacturing?
Rashid, can I ask so far? So since you have been there since the 90s, for someone who do not venture to Baltimore as others, what has the changes been so far? What is it looking like now in 2022 as an industry for Black folks in general in Baltimore?
Well, actually, I've been here 16 years.
16 years, okay.
I've been here 16 years, and it has changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
I think since Freddie Gray, maybe in the last 2 to 3 years, there's been a mind change in terms of trying to revitalize the community. I mean, and it wasn't just centered toward Baltimore. You had a lot of individuals talking about buy back the block.
Right.
That whole movement.
Right.
You have, Rick Ross is buying franchises of wing stops. And you have, Kevin Durant and his group, buying it was called First Mariner, but now Baltimore Arena, right? So you have high-profile Black entertainers that are now, through technology, podcasts, et cetera, and this stuff is totally unprecedented where you didn't have it before, that are coming to the communities and are developing them. And it's inspiring a whole generation of people to think differently.
And you know what? And shout out to Carmelo, who Mark Carmelo did venture out and had, rec center. I think it got purchased by Under Armour or something.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, at least before Freddie Gray, at least he was trying. He was trying, and I think that's the thing. Let's be honest. A lot of athletes were not trying. A lot of people were not concerned about.
More money's going to the club than community.
Oh my God! Somebody just posted that, Bootsy. Who was that? That posted that they were kind of feeling regretful for how much they spent at the club. I know you know the answer, Bootsy. Who was it?
J.R. Smith.
I'm joking.
J.R. Smith.
Right. I mean, it's true. It's like, peer pressure to just floss versus peer pressure to, isn't that something? Imagine that. You have more peer pressure to get a gold chain and to floss your car as a Black man than you do have peer pressure to somebody walking up to you and basically asking you, what have you done for your community?
Yeah.
We're quick to pull out Oprah. We're quick to pull out stars. Oh, what have they done? What have they done? But our athletes, we kind of give them a pass, right? We don't really do it. And so at least now that conversation is happening. Also, so Rashid, after, with the kind of like Black Lives Matter movement and companies saying we want to work with how much longer is that window going to be open, or is it shedding already?
I think it's already shedding.
Damn.
And primarily it's shedding again because it's the same method.
Right.
White organizations, I mean, look, there's a certain level of guilt. When you incarcerate and you create a system of oppression that lasted 400 plus years, it continues. You got some good people that's fighting against that of other races that's going to feel a certain way and create opportunity. It's up to us to understand how to utilize and wedge opening in there and understand that we got to provide value by developing industry.
And back to industry.
I have to keep going back to industry because it's something that takes time to develop and grow, but it has long-term effects in development. It's not an instant ramen noodle situation where you can get instant results. And so this is a conversation I think you mentioned earlier when I was sitting down with the Baltimore Orioles. And years prior, I was selling water through these mobile carts outside of their stadium. And when I sat down with the executives there, I mentioned this to them. I'm like, just a few years ago, I used to sit outside the stadium, but I was already planning this meeting then.
Wow.
I had developed a system of operations and understood the fact that we're going to use this opportunity as a testing ground to develop a market. You already bringing in thousands of people into the stadium. I'm going to meet them outside, develop this product, sell it to them, do my research and development. And then when the time is right, utilize my relationships to get when that door cracks, to have an opportunity to sit down and present. And that's what I end up doing. And I was like, y'all used to run us off all the time. And they couldn't believe it. It's impossible that you telling me you was outside. And then I'm like, yeah, here's pictures.
And so, Bootsy, it goes from outside to creating a phenomenon, which, by the way, when baseball is back, you'll be back, right?
Yeah.
And so we need, tell us about, so Bootsy, he not only got the meeting, and again, so, they do the meeting, they're doing the meeting, meeting with the brother, and I'm sure in their mind, they had an idea of what he's going to come to the table with. He's going to say, I'm black and something I'm black, and then give me an opportunity. But Rashid had a bigger plan. He had a bigger vision for it. Mm-hmm. Can you share that or no?
Yeah.
Because the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of times we don't go to baseball games for whatever reason. But I am excited about baseball this season for one reason, and that's because not only can I get some of that delicious sorbet right here at Camden Yards, I can also get. Go ahead, T.
You can get to meet our mascot Stretch.
The mascot, Bootsy, he came with him. Go ahead, Richie. Just give us a little bit.
So we had our meeting with the Orioles, and again, they did it because we went from the top down, from ownership group, set the meeting up with us. We met with the head of the concessions team, and I understand what corporations want. One, you got to have a good product. I ain't got to tell them I'm black. They can see that when I come through the door.
Yeah, that's kind of obvious.
So
and he black.
Yeah.
Rashid Aziz.
Everything about him is black. He Black History Month. Yeah, I know.
Black History Month, right?
So, but we understand again economics, industry. You want to know, is my product good? What is my volume of production? What are my outlets of distribution? Mm-hmm. Can I meet the needs of distributing to X amount of thousands of people? So check. I already had that going in the door. That's why I pushed for the meeting, because I know I could deliver. The second part of that was creating a great branding strategy. And so we wanted to associate our product, which is called Frozen Desert Sorbet, outside of the stadium to something that baseball fans would kind of identify with. So we called it 7th Inning Sorbet.
Oh, wow.
And our mascot is named Stretch. So it's a baseball mascot. He's Stretch. So to make a play on 7th Inning Stretch, we call our product 7th Inning Sorbet. We trademarked it. We developed it. We branded it. Wow. And we packaged it. So when I went into the meeting, we gave them the product. They enjoyed it, checked all the boxes, and then we brought our mascot in to meet them, and they were floored. So it was like, hey,
man,
look,
I love it.
We didn't know what to expect. We were thinking about, giving us a token. We'll let you guys come out for a weekend event one Saturday, and that was it. Before we left the meeting, they asked us how many locations in the ballpark that we want, and we chose 4. Wow. So we have 4 distribution outlets in the park, and one of the largest minority partners that they have at Oriole Park.
And in addition to that, Stretch becomes a superstar. So big of a superstar
that the team there wants us to develop and distribute Stretch merchandise. We would bring our mascot to the stadium, and fans thought that it was a part of the Orioles, the Orioles brand. So we would have fans come just to the game to take pictures with Stretch.
And that's what I'm doing with the family. Just take pictures. It's about Stretch. I don't know the score. I just know this sorbet is banging, and me and Stretch are getting some
pictures. The team ain't that good, Mark. Let me just tell you that as a baseball fan.
But also, Bootsy, which is how life works. And again, I think, we definitely talked about this in my reinventing journey, is everything's popping, otherworldly success, and then here comes COVID. shuts down baseball for what, 2 years?
2 years. And then now they're on strike.
And now they're on strike with a lockout. So,
But it's
you know
only
what
a
I mean?
setup. We know more is coming. We know that might be enough time for another team to roll with Stretch. Also, who knows? Football teams might want to be talking to Stretch.
I'll tell you one thing I think it may do. You know what I mean? What he's offering, I think baseball in general has always needed. They have to find a new creative way to connect with the next generation of baseball fans. There's always been a disconnect with African Americans in certain demographics and communities in baseball. And I think, you know, because you always hear, you know, the old way, or that's not how we doing in baseball. I think what he's doing could be really leading to something different in other teams and other areas as well, because there has been a real disconnect with ingratiating. I mean, huge and take it, because my son plays baseball. He's in a traveling baseball team, and I cannot tell you how many times we've been, and this is no lie, it's only 2 or 3 black players on this youth team, traveling team. So I think what you're offering is giving them a different way to connect with this amazing game and whatever opportunities out there for you. So
well,
did you have that in mind, Rashid, when you did that?
Yes, I had it in mind because baseball is so traditional. You
Right.
understand what tradition that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing about it is, but what I also understood is
he's Starbucks. Rodney said, I love it. Visibility with the he's Starbucks. That's true.
We have to develop systems and show them the scalability of us building industry in order for them to really take us serious.
Well, but you know what? Let me tell you something. Rondi's so excited because what y'all just talking about it, of course, Rashid already had this figured out. So just think, look at the optics. All of sports is disconnected from the black community. Mm-hmm. So now enter Stretch. The NFL could say we're making connections in the community because we have Stretch. Major League Baseball says, what do you mean we have Stretch? What? I get it. I see what you're doing. And the sad part is it's so true. The beauty of it is, and you can have Stretch and you can manufacture the stretch product. So, oh my goodness.
Yeah, but just also what he's doing with young people's minds. I think also the amazing thing he's doing is he's showing you all the different avenues that you can capitalize on just for being in those type of spaces that black people are not traditionally in. And I'm sorry, Rashid, I want you to keep going because I don't want to cut you off, my brother.
No, I agree, and I concur with your point. But this is a power of manufacturing, and that's really the message.
Wow.
Because we can reach out. Anybody can buy and sell product, and that's really the first step in entrepreneurship. Matter of fact, when we developed our frozen desert sorbet product, what many people didn't know is it was Minute Maid. We would go, I mean, this is like 20 years ago. We would go and buy Minute Maid from the store, go to the bottling factory and buy 8 and 16 ounce containers, label it, pour the Minute Maid in, and freeze it. That was our manufacturing process.
See, I invited Al. Al must have got busy because my childhood friend Al Rim, we always talk about with delicious beverage. That's his thing right there. When he talks about lemonade, he says, like you said, lemonade and tea. That's you're doing what he's doing, but that having your own brand, creating your own is so important because that's what people do. They, especially with tea and lemonades, they use a brand, then they add juice or they add whatever. And so having a proprietary blend was very important, but that's back to manufacturing.
Back to manufacturing, because we manufacture our own frozen desserts. We can make a sorbet, we can make a gelato, we can make ice cream, we can make popsicles. So you have the opportunity to scale. And so really what the EMAGE Center is about is making entrepreneurs, making and growing enterprises. And the foundation upon that is manufacturing. So when we tell people about what we're doing at Citywide Youth Development, it's providing solutions for crime and poverty through utilizing the tools of manufacturing and entrepreneurship. We creative people. We got ideas all day. We created hip hop. We took music that already existed and we spin it and sample it and took bits and pieces of it and created a whole new genre.
Absolutely.
But we ain't make none of the mixes.
Right.
We ain't make none of the mics. We ain't make people in Tokyo and China made that and made billions off of it from an art
Yeah,
that
software.
we
You're
created.
right.
So not only did we
Man.
not own the record companies, we didn't even own or design the equipment, and we manipulated the equipment to do things that it wasn't even designed to do.
And
What if we could have manufactured that stuff?
And that's why
Yeah.
Jimmy Iovine with Dre, what he did to make money. Yeah, Dre made money, but he made money. He attached himself to because he was so again, like you said, imagine in his mind, he looked at Dre and said, imagine, because I'm sure watching him in the studio, imagine if I can get the guy who has the ear to make some headphones. Because Dre obviously what makes his, it makes everything work is that sound, right? And so Jimmy Iovine said da. So the beauty of this is, right, now we have a manufacturer here that who can also do that with these young people who come through the doors, who have, Ronnie mentioned the Action Jackson jersey, and the clothing that you're making. So basically, you're on North Avenue in Baltimore with people who are super creative and babies who are super creative. So imagine that young kid that comes in here and learns manufacturing and learns that he can make his own shirt. He's got the next Kanye West. He's got the next Virgil Abloh. He's got the next, exactly. He's 9 years old right now. He's 9 years old right now.
This is
Willie Smith.
Yes, this is Motown. We've really just recreated what Barry Gordy did with Motown.
Right.
He created a system of development and cultivation of talent that already existed. Not this one. Well, not the shot. Because I don't have a collar on it.
The action coming up, we're going to see some of the clothing. Imagine a Bootsy clothing. Imagine a Bootsy. Imagine
that would sell. That would really sell, Rasheed. Rasheed, that would really sell.
Went to jail. Isn't it time for a Marc Clarke pudding pop? Isn't it time that the world gets the Marc Clarke? Give me a Marc Clarke.
Rasheed, I would love to know what sparked your where did you get this business acumen?
You froze up a little bit. Business acumen?
Yeah. I would love to know who was his business heroes, who taught him business acumen, because the ideas is one thing, but the way that you're executing them through business is something else. Who were your heroes in business? Where did you learn this business acumen from?
My great grandmother.
Okay.
She was raised as a sharecropper.
Okay.
Her and her brothers were sharecroppers. She moved to Florida. And instead of going in the fields, she made sandwiches and served the people lunches in the fields and had a catering company. She expanded that catering company to opening up a restaurant.
Wow.
So I saw her, taking advantage of a market, providing value for them, expanding that into industry. And then what I also saw was the flip side, a generation of people that she taught these skills, meaning my aunts, that learn how to cook, baking, catering, all of these things. And they went to corporate America with those skills and where they ended up. So I really I learned just from my family. I saw someone that understood the fact that I can provide value for an industry. And I can expand that and develop a system. And then I saw people with the skill and the opportunity. So by the time I came on the scene, we would have had, restaurants nationwide, right? Wow. But instead of doing that, they decided to take that skill and investment that they learned from my ancestors, from my great grandmother, and go and put that in corporate America.
Yes.
For very little value.
Yes.
Right? And so I learned from that as a young guy. I'm observant. And so when I went to college, North Carolina Central, when I really started this particular journey, I was at Central, and what I saw there was the impact that manufacturing had in developing. Of course, our ancestors had a part in, picking all that cotton in the field, because, of course, Tobacco Road in that area is tobacco and cotton. But when it comes to fashion, it's cotton. So you have comb mills and all of these Burlington industries that exist right there in Central Carolina to manufacture all of this fabric. So I saw communities develop from industry. Totally different outlook than growing up in Florida, and it's citrus. right? And then it's tourism by the time I came on the scene. Now I'm in an environment in Central Carolina that was developed through textile industry, and who again now was designing the product and making it popular, us. So we're on the make it high end with no value, providing value from industries, and I'm watching industries around me make billions of dollars, build towns and communities, create thousands of employment. So for me, it was like, okay, I don't want to now be a fashion designer. I want to be on the other end of the spectrum to develop industry and utilize this to change the inner city. And that's really where it started at when I was at Central.
Now, Rashid, now, on this show, Bootsy, it seems like every week, every day, we start getting some deeper insight into stuff, right?
Man.
So, Baltimore Ravens fans, of course, love Lamar Jackson, right? Now, regardless of Lamar's hair choices, which we still are trying to figure out, what the thing that he's doing that got, for whatever reason, got white folks and ESPN mad as hell is Lamar he's doing his own deal.
With his mom.
He's doing his own deal. I don't need an agent. I can negotiate my own money. And so it's so interesting. Why would anybody be mad about that? This is his money. Why would he be mad about it? Now, one of the deals he did was with Rashid here.
Well,
and now I'm trying to figure out where he got this idea from. The damn Rashid tell him? He was like, hey man, let me holler at you.
Well, my relationship ain't that deep with Lamar.
I was gonna say, because I'm like, this is what happened. He was talking to Rashid, he had some sorbet, and then he said, I'm getting rid of my agents.
Yeah. I'm about to stretch out a little bit. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So what happened is we had a store at Towson Center, which is a whole nother. We had a location at Towson Center, a brand that we produced called Made in Be More Clothing. It started really as a way to market and educate young adults, this generation, on the impact that fashion and manufacturing had in building Baltimore. Baltimore had one of the biggest apparel manufacturing systems on the East Coast, second only to New York for years.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that. It was factories all over Baltimore City.
And let me just hop in real quick. Also, when you just talk about, like you say, just legacy, it's weird. When you start thinking about legacy and history, and you think about, with the harbor and the boats and the black workers and actually owners with the corkers, I guess, or boat corkers. It was a whole industry. That's kind of like Baltimore has this rich history of business and black folks.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Exactly. Go ahead.
No, I concur. So we're at the Towson Center. Lamar's with his crew coming in shopping, and he came to our store, got some merchandise, and started posting it afterwards, sent us the pictures. And so when he came back, we developed this jersey. You can see it here.
Yes.
Number 8. And we have like the city in the background with the Ravens.
Yes, so buddy. A little fire.
So we created a brand called Raven Nation that was in Action Jackson in support.
Wow.
And we've went through quite a few thousand of these jerseys. So again, it's the fact that having the ability to have an idea and develop it, construct it, build it.
The Ravens didn't come get at you about that, or no?
Well, it's something that we had trademarked. So It doesn't say Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, okay, I got you.
It's Raven Nation. And at the point, Action Jackson wasn't trademarked. So that's
wow.
So I mean, we understand, the game, how to get around it. I mean, we even went to the Super Bowl, and when Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, we took product there and made jackets and jerseys, etc. And we called it, what did we call it? KC's Masterpiece.
Wow.
And
bam.
And the fans loved it. And it was like, what is KC's Masterpiece? Because, their quarterback is a work of art.
Yep. And I can't help but think KC Masterpiece and barbecue.
Well, of course. And so we know people.
I get it.
People would, associate, that brand. And so and of course the jerseys and the jackets we made were a work of art.
Shout out to I got
Holmes.
to shout out Maurice Meredith is checking in. Maurice from St. Louis is in the building. Maurice is one of the most brilliant photographers, and you get to a certain age, guys. Yeah, there you go. You know, you start realizing that the photographers really are the time machine, right? They keep the records of all these great people that we've known over time. So I was in St. Louis, and Maurice, I see your posts on Facebook, and that's when I met my wife. So all these great pictures and all this kind of stuff. So Maurice, I know that number one, like you said earlier, St. Louis is any city USA, rich history of businesses, you know, and you know, Annie Malone, who basically is weird. We have to go back and see what's really going on because, you know, my girl gets all the love as the first Black millionaire, like, right? But she learned from Annie Malone. It's weird. She was a student and worked for Annie Malone. So that's interesting. Like, why didn't Annie Malone get the shine she deserves? That's a other show. But shout out to you, Maurice. And again, Maurice, I know that, you know, Rashid's thinking could be greatly employed in the St. Louis because this is just like every city USA. All these places have all these opportunities and just need a visionary to bring it. Yeah,
absolutely.
And who knows? It might be a young guy who came up underneath Rashid, and then he goes to another city. Because I know you're doing that too. Building. I met one of the young minds. So that's the other thing. This beauty that actually happened, right? And after Reconstruction, around Reconstruction, this was happening. And every time it happens, the system gets nervous. Yeah, and makes it go away for some reason.
Well, we know why we were brought to this country.
Right. You ain't supposed to be doing that. You're a laborer. You ain't supposed to be coming up with ideas, hashing. And so can you tell us a little bit about the how you negotiated the deal at the town center? Is that too heavy?
No, it's not too heavy.
So basically, again, we've mentioned before, Rashid has gotten into places that many African Americans just haven't. And again, that's not just in Baltimore, that's any town USA. For whatever reason, it's hard for us to get into premier malls, premier locations, premier places, venues, but you have been able to do it. And so Towson Town Center was one of those kind of places.
Yes. Really, the key that we figured out a while ago is understanding the needs of those industries. And really, this is a formula that we can take into any city.
Students, do you have your pens out? Understanding the needs of wherever you're trying to get into is the first step.
Understanding the needs and how you can provide value. So it doesn't matter whether that is a multi-billion-dollar corporation or it's a mom and pop store, right? Same, right? Everybody needs. So what we did to leverage an opportunity to get a great opportunity at Towson Town Center was understanding those two factors. We were at the time partnered with Under Armour. Again, really was understanding multi-billion-dollar fashion corporation that is trying to challenge Nike, Adidas, et cetera, for supremacy. And of course, they always use Black bodies to market, to promote, to gain their wealth and development.
And that Steph Curry shoe did not help. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
they needed some vision.
Well, the first one was hot. What ended up happening is Nike hired that designer, and it was a wrap after that.
Damn! They snatched the man up. Okay, see, I didn't know that part. Didn't know that part. Okay, that's what happened.
Yeah, it was a wrap after that.
They had Tommy back there trying to make the shoe. It was like,
okay. Yeah, I don't know what he did. Right. So again, providing value, and we wanted to go over and expand and to show that we can take a brand that started off as a street brand and we can premiere it and have a brick and mortar location in one of the largest mall in the Baltimore region. What we did was, since we were partnered with Under Armour, we invited the general manager over to our site. Our location and training program was in the Under Armour footprint across from Under Armour Lighthouse that we had a development agreement with, where we developed talent and trained people from the inner city on how to cut, sew, merchandise and Under Armour products. So we invited the general manager over for a tour. So we took them into the Under Armour facility, showed them around. Our team is there manufacturing Under Armour merchandise. So after the tour, we walked across the parking lot to our space, and we already had about $10,000-$15,000 worth of merchandise pre-packaged.
Wow.
That we had produced. So having a conversation now with the general manager was an easy one because of the tour and us communicating. The impression was they were going to do a deal with Under Armour or a subsidiary of Under Armour. And so they offered us a sweetheart deal and a location in a corporate location in the mall. Wow. So we got a space at a third of the cost to operate in one of the largest malls in Baltimore. And we absolutely killed it. But it was because we were in a position to leverage opportunity and we produce quality merchandise.
Wow.
And so now, again, understanding the needs and understanding what image is.
Wow.
Again, we're going back to image, right? So it's like, no, we're not. So we're not push cart level. These people have a deal with a multi-billion-dollar corporation manufacturing their product. Surely they can operate in a brick and mortar location. It was the truth. I didn't have to do much selling. All I had to do was show them.
Wow.
And so what we found to make it easy when negotiating with major corporations, no matter the size, again, is showing that you're competent. And because of our foundation in manufacturing and the competency and skill level that you can deliver. And once you get around those barriers, the rest is just easy. It's easy.
See, and I think this is what, for those of us, first of all, amazing story. Was my bell too loud last time? Bootsy, you moved your head when I played it. Is this better? That's
a lot better, sir. A lot better. But Lord knows I don't want to stop you from ringing your bell because he deserves it.
Man, and I think for those of us who are working 9 to 5s, right? And you feel like you're at a dead-end job and you're not going anywhere, you have ideas, you got your own product, you want to do this and that. Something that we could learn from this is to, because it's funny, you can do something every day, but you're not paying attention to the systems. Right? You're not paying attention. For me, when I did the TV thing from radio, Bootsy, I had a different understanding because I got inside the system. And I saw the role of a producer. I saw the role of reading a teleprompter. I saw the role of writing, producing, editing, lighting, all these different things that I can now apply to Marc Clarke Media, And so the same thing, where she's saying, okay, they looked at you one way, but then you got them smelling the ether when they saw the association with this, basically the vouch. She got the vouch. But then the key part was, though, when they came over then and saw your product,
prepared already.
Right, the quality of the product. Because a lot of times we all know people. I know people like this who are brilliant, but when the presentation is always something ain't right, and it's tough because you're all on board, you believe in them, you're selling them to other people, and then when you walk away, you can see the people in their eyes. They're like, that egg sandwich is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's the funny thing when I, delicious beverage, I vend delicious beverage. And when you're on the streets doing it and you're handing that person that product, it's a whole different animal because you can see, I remember Bootsy was sweating out. It was outside. I was sweating and I had a hat on and a big old sweat ball was like forming right here. And it was getting ready to drop into the drink. So all these kind of things, if you're just from a distance, you don't notice, or if you're just talking about something versus being there and witnessing the product or selling the product or packaging the product, all these things are important. Let's keep it real, y'all. Black folks, this is something we struggle with a lot of times. How many times have you been to your favorite soul food spot? The service is terrible. It doesn't look that sanitary. The food comes out. And yes, it's delicious, but it could be packaged better. It could be, that's a thing. That's not a happenstance. That's a real thing, especially if you're trying to scale and get bigger and get better. And then if you throw on top of it, your price point is too high. It's and then you wonder, why can't I get out of the space? Because you're not doing what she's talking about. And when Randy says the golden presentation process, the presentation process is so important.
Absolutely important.
And again, if you are watching this and you live in Baltimore, here's the other thing: being aware and realizing when, if you don't have a skill set. Here's a brother that's on North Avenue who's doing this. Your child, even you, might have something to learn by coming and saying, hey, can I volunteer? Hey, can I help out? Hey, are you looking for anybody? Because just being in this process can change your life,
If I can interject real quick, shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Right.
Wait a minute.
So,
shameless plug.
So we have just launched, we call Students of Style, SOS.
Oh, wow.
It's for young adults, 18 to 21, high school seniors, or those out of school, 18 to 21, 16 to 22 week paid training program to learn apparel manufacturing.
Come on now.
We only got 15 slots. So guys, email us, raziz@citywideyouth.org.
Are they in Baltimore? So these are only in Baltimore?
raziz@citywideyouth.org. Or call us at 443-979-1774 to enroll. This is, again, a one-of-a-kind program. Nothing like it exists here in Maryland.
We're going to put this back out there again. So Bootsy was saying, is it Baltimore only?
Yes.
Okay. DC, coming your way. Okay. So Aziz, what's their email again?
Or
how they can reach you?
Yeah, RAZIZ at citywideyouth.org.
Amazing. This is life-changing. This is game-changing. This is generational. This is generational changing.
This is what we're doing with this program. And this is a concept that we're going to take regionally and then nationwide. And this is how. This is a school uniform initiative. We have tens of thousands of students that are wearing school uniforms every day in Baltimore City schools. We have not one manufacturer, black or white, producing and manufacturing uniforms locally.
Wow.
The uniforms are being made in primarily China and Pakistan. So in a city with high unemployment, right, where you have a total generation of job opportunities, you have poverty, you have et cetera, we have to identify opportunities to involve ourselves, immerse ourselves in the economic ecosystem.
Absolutely. Isn't that great?
Right. So we have developed a system to be able to, deliver. We have $250,000 worth of manufacturing equipment in a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility. So we've positioned ourselves so that we could train a group of up to 40 people, if we wanted to, and develop talent to manufacture school uniforms. We're also retailing it and opening up the first school uniform stores right here in Baltimore.
Wow.
So
beat the horn for that, Mark. Beat the horn for that.
I know. And the thing that's so crazy, again, when you hear it, so every city, right? Every city has this issue, right? So why wouldn't you have that going on with the school uniforms, the police, the fire, all of the uniforms? Why wouldn't you do that? Why isn't there an elected official? It's not rocket science. That's pretty simple, right?
It's very simple.
But people don't do it. Why? Because number one, some people don't know. Some people don't have the aptitude or care. And then also there's deals that are cut that make people rich that we don't talk about. But I'm just saying that's such a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Jobs.
And so this is how we leverage. You got some great politicians that look like us that really care about the community. You got others that just want to keep the status quo.
Yeah.
So you call them on the carpet. We're going to build this. We're going to develop this. Help us develop it. And now we're going to hold you accountable. Because in order for us to get out of the situation that we're in, we got to build industry. We can't pray our way out of this thing. Right? That's a component of it. We can't march our way out of this thing. The results we can see, right? Very, very, very little benefit, very little results. It has its place. What's been missing is us integrating into the economic ecosystem. The largest economy in Baltimore City is the what? Medical industry. Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, LifeBridge Health. Why are we manufacturing product to distribute to that industry? Why are they going to China and Pakistan and India and soon now Africa to get products for this multi-billion-dollar industry?
So Rashid, what about when people say, yeah, well, because of the price point? Even Donald Trump, who hated China, he hated China, but his tires were manufactured in China. So what do we say to those people that say, look, well, it's cheaper, da 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 da?
It's always cheaper when you're dealing with slave labor, right? I'm
gonna hit that again. It's always cheaper when you're dealing with slave labor, Bootsy.
The elephant in the room, the real
cheaper.
elephant in the room.
Yeah, right.
Wow, damn.
So our ancestors were brought to this country to what? Provide cheap products for where? Europe.
Wow.
So Europe was getting free grape. They were getting sugar and tobacco and the finished products from all those items from our blood, literally our blood, right? So now, when it comes to black folk, are we going to be the new Europeans now?
Wow. And isn't that funny? All these conversations people have, nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says that, because that then, like you said, that makes the camera look back at you. Yeah. So yeah, I do it here because it's cheaper. Slave labor. Wow.
Those people got all of that cheap goods because our ancestors were being imprisoned in the islands, in America, in the Southeast for 100+ years. And then Jim Crow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now the tables have turned. We're in America. We're the recipient of other people's oppressive goods. That's why we can go into Walmart and get a shirt for $5.
Wow.
Right? So the thing about it is, at some point we have to be conscious and understand we don't want, just like it wasn't right for other people, especially when they've known that I'm not going to buy this product that's from other people's exploitation. We got to realize that we can't support and develop and be the ones on the other end. It's okay as long as it's not us in the fields. No, we can't be those people.
And why are woke people half woke? Why are people be woke about, they pick and choose what they're woke on? Why aren't people really woke on this? You got kids, my kids can argue on everything, but I ain't never heard nobody talk about this. Like you said, somebody at the end of the day, what does it say? There's no such thing as lunch. So if you're getting 18 shirts for $3, and if you're getting food for 50 cents, come on now.
Yeah. So what we have to do here is, one thing that makes manufacturing possible in America is the increased productivity because of technology. That allows that's almost like the great equalizer. Wherein before you really had to rely on skill to be able to, and tailoring to make certain items. Now you got semi-automated equipment to do the same thing. Right. And so that's one of the things that I learned partnering with Under Armour is we got to work on computerized sewing machines that were semi-automatic.
Wow. So
where functions would take, 3 or 4 skilled people, now one person could do it with the advent of this semi-automatic machine. And so those are one of the things that we invested into, a lot of technology in our manufacturing processes that allows us an opportunity to produce product at a decent, rate, and also understanding to be competitive. We were competitive at Towson Town Center because we're competing with corporations that are all getting their product abroad, but they're retailing it at a certain price point. Because we manufactured the product, and distributed retail to the consumer, that allowed us the profit margin to be able to be competitive. Wow. So you have to understand economics. So the economics of manufacturing is it allows you to go right into retail. You might not be able to wholesale because now you can't compete against slave labor.
You can't compete,
but you can retail.
Wow.
So manufacture a product and open up an outlet for distribution, or create your own outlets of distribution.
And so I just cut a deal with Rashid. I will be training on those computers next week. And Yeah,
So I'll
Big
be
Mark
running the
T-shirts
show
coming soon.
I'll be running the show by myself while you're learning that.
Randy says the gross Rashid looks like Fruit of the Loom employs 32,000 people.
Yes, sir.
Wow. And I know because Rashid plugs into the community, just like he teaches young people, I'm sure he has another aspect that probably teaches old people a new skill set, or people who maybe, had obstacles in their life, be it prison, be it drug abuse, whatever, and they're unskilled. I'm sure you have an aspect that does that too. I don't even know that, but I know it.
Yes. Well, I mean, our community just needs empowerment. And so we are working with groups.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've noticed, being in this environment. Man, we're brilliant people.
Man.
Right?
You never know who that guy or that young lady, who she is.
We're brilliant people with great intentions. A lot of times we just have to kind of work together.
Well, Rashid, thank you, first of all, for giving us your valuable time, because, man, you got a lot going on. Man, thank you for doing this for us. I mean, we'll stand on the backs of gentlemen like this. I always feel special when I'm around people like this, because my grandfather, I.E. Foster, was a printer, had a trade school, never worked for anybody. And I know that his spirit lives in brothers like you. Because when I hear you talk on the phone, I was so excited. Ronnie introduced me to Rashid. We're on the phone, and I was so excited because when you explaining it, you were excited. And it's because when you see that vision, you see the potential, and you see what the possibilities.
Right.
It's just so because there's a reason why we're fed the impossibilities. There's a reason why we're fed negativity. We're fed hopelessness. We're fed. We're constantly bombarded with those ideas versus with this desert offers. It offers. I was talking to my brother. He was saying that it's so uncommon. Even people in the neighborhood are adjusting to this. They walk in and say, "Is this for us?" Yes, it's for y'all. Because again, how many times, Boosie, in DC do we see beautiful developments? Oh, it ain't for y'all. No, it's not for
Absolutely.
y'all. It's for us.
Restaurants.
This is for y'all. It's for us. So, and the more and more that people come through these doors, you can already see. You're going to see this. The ideas are going to start opening up the endless possibilities. Because that's the thing. A lot of times when I mention Sophia Robb a lot, because I travel with Sophia, and one thing that I learned when I was in those rooms, because very few often we're not in those rooms, and when you're at the barbershop and everybody has ideas, there's almost a feeling that ideas don't matter, because Black people we have a million brilliant ideas. Yeah. When I was in those rooms, what I realized was the people that have all the money, they need those ideas. That's what they got. I got all this money. All I need is a great idea to walk through this door. And so what I realized, so if you put this in a space where there's great ideas, it can't help but just thrive. Because and people can then at the barbershop could realize, I got a great idea. Let me go down the street and talk to Rashid real quick, because that idea can go from like that Lamar Jackson shirt can go from a concept to a real product. And that's the power of manufacturing. So thank you for spending time with us, my brother.
Mark. I appreciate you.
We're gonna be working together. If y'all see me on a sewing machine, don't be mad. My mother was a seamstress, so I'm gonna make mama proud, Jack. I'm gonna be back there. Yes. I guess they don't do that no more, Bootsy. But
you can feel the blisters on your fingertips right now. I get it. I understand.
Baby, come thread this needle for me. Okay. So tomorrow I'm actually gonna be in National Harbor with a brother. Speaking of manufacturing, he manufactures eyewear. He manufactures eyewear. He did he had a rough path, but he got on path, and now he's doing that. I don't know. You probably know the brother. But
I like to meet him.
Yeah, he's got a brand new facility in National Harbor where he's selling, but he manufactures and he's going to custom make a pair of eyeglasses while we're doing the show, Bootsy.
Wow.
You can join us if you want to, Bootsy, but you don't really wear glasses. You just wear sunglasses. So.
Oh no, but my son does.
Okay, well, everybody,
my
thank you for the support. For those who watch this in real time, for those who watch this another day, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, appreciate you, Bootsy. I'll see you in the morning, my friend. And everyone have a great day.
Rashid, is a pleasure.